Okay, so right now some basic tips on the calculator and Desmos, kind of how to navigate around these things. I'll frame this as the question of where's the blank key or where's this thing on the calculator. So I'm going to show you how to navigate the calculator and then some of our top visited keys or operations so you kind of know where they are and you can start building that muscle memory. So we'll start with the TI-84 and then we'll shoot over to Desmos and I'll quickly show you where things can be found there. So in general, this acts similar to a computer keyboard in that, whatever is on the key is what it does. And then there are modifier keys like second and alpha that act like the shift, control, and alt keys on a computer keyboard. So for example, second and then the button will give you what the blue text is above the key, just like, on the number pad, shift 1 is the exclamation point, things like that. So let's say we have a calculation that we're carrying out and we say 6 minus 3 times 5.221. All right. And hit enter to get our result. And so I get some decimal value that's got a negative sign on it. It's not too terrible, but we could see this being, we've seen some calculations probably that are a bit longer than this. And so this is a chance for me to show you a key that we might use the second key for, which is the answer key. So let's say I wanted to use this and then raise this to the second power. I use this second, and then the minus gives me the answer key. And what this function does is it says, what was my result just before this line? And now I'm going to store that here, and you can do whatever you want with it. So instead of square, let's say I just wanted to add 1 so we can see the result. Okay, great. So this says, take the answer before and add 1, and that's what we got. And then likewise, you can say it again. Answer, let's say I wanted to multiply it by 2. And it's taking this number now and multiplying it by 2. So answer changes based on what you just punched enter on. Another nice feature here is, let's say I had similar example here, not the same one, I don't think. And I calculate this, and let's say, oh, actually, I made an error up here, or I forgot to add a +1 at the end. Instead of typing all this back in, we can say second entry, and this will put in what I just typed in as my entry. Then I can say, well, now I want to add 1 there, and we're good to go. Okay, so answer and entry are probably two of the most common keys that I use the second key for, and again, found by using the blue text here. Alpha activates the green text, which are probably a little bit more rare at this stage in the game, but still good to know. This is how you access these keys. And same for this top row here. We're going to have a separate video on how to use the graphing function, but these keys here tell you what they do, where we put the function and y equals, setting the window up for viewing, and then looking at the actual graph. But then these second functions we use frequently as well, setting a table, using the calculator to find places of intersection, and looking at the table itself instead of a graph. So again, to get there is second, and then these buttons will send you to that blue option. Another commonly used one is second quit, to get from the mode that you're on. I see a lot of people just turn the calculator off and then back on. You can just second quit, and that will take you back to what we call the home screen. And clear this out. And then I'm going to show you 2 or 3 more buttons that we use pretty frequently. Often we're interested in raising things to powers. 3 to the second power, or squared, is a very common one, to square something when we're dealing with areas and all sorts of problems. But we're often interested in, well, what's 9 to the 4th power or 5th power? There's no specific button for that. We have a general raise to an exponent button, which is this caret here, which is also shift 6 on the computer keyboard. But we use this caret and say, well, what is 9 to the 5th power? All right, 59,000. Cool. So again, this can be used for non-whole number powers as well, and we'll deal with problems like that, like what's 9 to the 1.5 power, or let's clear that out actually. Or what's 9 to the 3/2 power. You can actually use fractions in here as well. It's the same. So that's a very commonly used one. The squared key, just for if we're doing things that have a lot of exponents of 2, or the raised to any exponent key. And then adjacent to that is the square root key here, which is this second and the squared button. So instead of squaring 9, we want to take the square root of 9. And we get 3 here. Now, there is no nth root button here, I don't think. Nope. But there is that functionality within the catalog. So very quickly, and this is kind of a rabbit hole, so I don't want to go down here too far, but the catalog lists all the functions that the calculator has. And there's way too much here. But if you're looking for the nth root specifically, you can go to the end. Actually, it will navigate based on the alpha keys, the green by alphabetical order. So you can head down to the symbols section, and then it's actually right here. So it's assuming I wanted the answer. Really, I just want to maybe take the third root of 27, and we can do that as well. And you'll learn equivalent ways of doing nth roots using fractional exponents, but that all comes from class, not from here. Okay, and 2 other highly trafficked keys using the second button are the use of pi when we're dealing with triangles and circles and periodic functions. You're going to want that one a lot. And also the E key, which is another transcendental number. It's a special number. And e to the x, we're often interested in raising e to a given exponent and seeing what we get from that. So just to show you that, and 10 to the power of, insert number here. So these are common ones, and again, using the second key to get there. So that's that blue text. Same with the sine, cosine, tangent functions. If you're familiar with these, their inverses are found by using the second key. Okay, and quickly shooting over to Desmos, some basic settings here are found using this wrench icon. I'm going to turn up the display so you can see it a little bit easier. We're not going to go through this right now. I'll make a separate video about that, but where to find functions and keys and things like that, you can use this show keypad to get kind of a basic scientific calculator layout. And here's pi down here. Here's the squaring buttons, the use of variables, brackets, etc. And then the more advanced stuff is going to be under this functions button with these different tabs. We're most likely going to be staying in these 2 tabs, but for whatever reason, you might find yourself in the miscellaneous tab looking for the natural log, looking for the common log, and other things like that, some calculus things, and some number theory things. So these, again, are kind of the highest trafficked ones that we'd want from this tab. And you can also, instead of, coming and finding these keys, Desmos is a little nice if you're using a computer, you can type, instead of hitting the square root key, you can type SQRT and it will auto fill what you're doing. So it has predictive typing. So square root of 27. If you wanted the nth square root, or the nth root rather, instead of the square root, it's under this miscellaneous tab here. So let's clear this out here. So if we want to take the third root of 27, that's how we would do that. So again, there are some predictive typing things here. You can use the Shift 6 to get into the superscript or the exponent notation. And the last thing I wanted to show you with Desmos, again, was the predictive typing about trig functions. So instead of coming here and punching the sine key, you can actually just start typing sine, and it will go ahead and graph it for you instantly. Okay, or take the sign of the number that you're interested in. We're going to have a separate video about trig functions and all that sort of stuff, so it doesn't matter if that doesn't make sense right now for you. But hopefully this gives you a sense of where the basics are on the calculator and Desmos, and make sure you send a note if you have any questions about this video.